Welcome to the I Hate Critics movie review podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
Yeah.
He's not even in office yet, Jeff. Come on.
Oh, Zuckerberg, is it?
Is
What?
it? That's what we're talking about. Uh,
Oh, fuck Zuck.
where can people get your art?
Um, Go to jefflaster.com. All my links are there. I am migrating my stuff to pretty much strictly Blue Sky and Patreon. I do have a Patreon. It is free to join. You don't have to pay me, but you can, and you can get free art. So,
Good stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff. And of course, we have a Patreon for the show as well. You can find that on patreon.com if you're interested. That's where we've got some of our commentaries regarding the Friday the 13th movies. Those are also on our YouTube channel, which is does shockingly well sometimes, depending on, we discovered something, Jeff, on the 94 now 95 podcast that if we talk about Bruce Willis's penis, we get a lot of views on YouTube. I don't know what it is. So the algorithm is looking for Bruce Willis's penis. So meanwhile,
Aren't we all?
we've spent all of our time talking about Kevin Bacon's penis over here, and we get nothing from that. So what does that tell
Well,
you?
maybe we should start talking about Bruce Willis's penis.
I think automatically this opener is going to get us big on YouTube or
6 degrees
demonetized.
of
Ever.
yeah. Well, either way. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon's penis leads us to Bruce Willis's penis.
Somehow we'll get there somewhere.
We should connect Kevin Bacon's penis with Bruce Willis's penis.
We'll just human centipede Bruce Willis and Kevin Bacon and see what happens and see if that pleases the algorithm.
Kevin Spacey at the end of it, though.
At the end, yes, he has to go at the. No, he should be in the middle. That's the worst part of the human centipede, isn't it? The middle's the worst part.
No, the end. You get both of them.
No, that's true. Good point. Let's stop talking about the human centipede, shall we? Let's talk about some news. So we're not going to talk about the Golden Globes. It's not a real award show. Fuck those guys.
Except Nikki Glazer
and those corrupt non-movie watching people who think The Substance is a comedy. She won Best Actress in a Comedy, Jeff. Demi Moore.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm not defending the Golden Globes because they're terrible people. However, I have heard The Substance called a dark horror comedy. Also, they don't have a way to apparently figure out that horror is drama too.
Because they're not actual film critics and they don't actually watch the movies that they nominate. Because if you'd watched The Substance, you wouldn't nominate that for Best Comedy, even as it is a dark satire. It doesn't belong in the same category as Wicked. Sorry, not if you're dividing them. If you're going to divide those two things, you don't put them next to each other. At the Oscars, yes, but not in this because you're dividing them by genre. Anyway, sorry, rant over. Let's talk about actual awards for just a moment because I've been tracking the state critic awards as well as the regional critic awards and just keeping track of the numbers. And right now, Mikey Madison for Anora has won 21 critic awards so far, including the Iowa Film Critics, of which I'm a member. She's probably going to win this weekend as well, the Critics' Choice Awards. That's just my guess. That is happening this weekend, by the way, which I'm also a voter in. But Anora has won 14 Best Picture wins. Has got her 21 wins. Sean Baker has won 7 times. Even Yuri Borislav, who plays a supporting role as her love interest, he's won 5 regional critic awards. And the screenplay has won 8 of them. So Nora's got like 56 state critic awards so far more than any other movie, including The Brutalist, which is in second place. It's got 39 awards. Adrian Brody has 12 Best Actor wins so far. But interestingly enough, in just the past week and a half, Coleman Domingo has surged up to nearly tie Adrian Brody, which is kind of making me wonder if there's kind of a potential for, I don't know how to call it an upset, but certainly it's more competitive than people might think with Adrian Brody. I know he won again on TV this weekend for whatever that was, but
oh my God.
It's not a real awards show. I'm sorry. It's a TV network prop. from people who don't watch movies. No, The Brutalist. I was surprised though, and you've not have you seen Sing Sing?
I have not seen Sing Sing. Seen Sing Sing.
They're going to put it back
Sing,
out
sing,
in
sing,
theaters just ahead of the, of course, the Academy Award nominations. And it looks he's definitely getting a Best Picture or a Best Actor nomination. And I got to think the movies, if they're going to go with 9 nominees this year, it's got to be in the running for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
What I can't follow though, this whole Best Actress competition. People keep putting Emilia Perez in that conversation, and they keep putting Cynthia Erivo in that competition, and they've won nothing from critics. Now, I guess that doesn't matter to the Academy. They probably don't care.
But the Academy is not critics. The Academy is the peers,
right.
And I feel like they are more populist than critics. Critics, who we hate, remember, no offense, are much. You know what? I'm just gonna say this in that critics, like the populists, are kind of a block. If one person, if one person in the Academy says, "Oh, I loved Emilia Perez," and you want to seem like, "Oh, I love that person, so I got to love that movie too," even if you don't really love it. I mean, it's great, but I don't know if it's necessarily. It's a great movie, but I don't know about the acting. The acting doesn't rise above anybody else as far as I'm concerned this year, especially Demi Moore. But if say Charlize Theron says, "Oh my God, I loved Emilia Perez," and then Reese Witherspoon says, "Oh my God, Charlize Theron, I haven't even seen it, but you know what? I love it too. Oh my God, it's such a transformative movie, and the performances." And critics are like that too. It's going along with your peer group to an extent. I'm more impressed when somebody kind of sings the praises of something a little outside the mainstream. And maybe it's just my contrarian self coming out today and this week because of everything that's going on in the actual real world. But, sometimes I'm a little turned off by stuff that everybody loves so much.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly I think that's why, it's one of my top 2 favorite movies of the year, but I'm rooting for Demi Moore over Mikey Madison, even though I think Mikey Madison turned in a performance that I actually made me love her instead of her Scream 5 or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It made me actually really love her. But everybody is like, "Oh my God, they're just sucking her dick so bad," that I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, Demi Moore. Demi Moore. Also, Demi Moore said, "I've never won anything for my acting." You won a Saturn Award for Ghost, and you won a Razzie for Striptease. So let's not forget those, Demi. Okay? So anyway, that's just kind of my feeling on the whole critics versus Academy and how they're going to vote and what they're going to vote for. I really do think that based on her entire career, more people are paying attention to Demi Moore as far as the Academy goes. And I think the Golden Globes, while not a real award show, is really indicative of that. Of the way people are going to be leaning. Because say what you will about it, they always kind of set a tone for Hollywood on how they're going to vote.
I challenge anyone, though, to right now find a member of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, search their name, and find something they've written about a movie in the past 5 years.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just saying.
I'm not calling you out. I'm calling out our listeners. If you think that the Golden Globes are a real award show that deserves the attention that it gets, on a yearly basis, I challenge you to find anything they've written, because you can look right now on my Blue Sky, on my Twitter at vocal.media. You can find that I've written about every movie nominated by the Critics' Choice. Like,
yes, you have.
You can, and my Critics' Choice members, you can find their reviews. I share them regularly on my social media. We actually watch the movies. You can tell.
Do you know why people love the Golden Globes though, because they let the people drink. And years ago, an actress named Christine Lottie, who most people remember from like Law and Order, SVU, she got really drunk and gave a really good acceptance speech, and people are like, "Oh, anything goes." Madonna won a Golden Globe for Evita. Uh, they're not. They are there to get drunk and have fun, and not really be an arbiter. Although I think in the last 10 years they've become sort of an arbiter because they're populist. So
The only reason they became an arbiter is because they're owned by a network. Period.
well,
NBC or CBS or whichever one it owns them. That's the only reason that the Golden Globes matter. Because the people who actually vote for the awards are not real critics for the most part.
I think it's more of a kickoff to award season for all these Hollywood people who, just want to be lauded for their achievements, such as they are. And as somebody who consumes that particular art form, I really do think they are achievements. I'm not trying to, say that it's not. I'm saying that a lot of the people who don't necessarily deserve it are the ones who are like, oh, she's a Golden Globe winning actor, and I aspire to that someday. I'm like, well, you know what? All you got to do is sidle up to these foreign critics, because
all you got to do is be someone they want to have dinner with and get a picture with. That's really all you need to do.
Or fondle.
Oh God.
Which is another thing that makes me not take them seriously, because who was it that got fondled?
Brendan Fraser?
Some guy. Yeah, Brendan Fraser. Yeah. Got felt up by at least him and somebody else too.
He was fondled by the head of the HPFA, like the HFPA, like just to give you more of a sense about how freaking gross and disgusting the Golden Globes are. But no, I'm tracking the people who actually watch movies, the actual critics, and Anora does look like the front runner right now. The Brutalist, Sing Sing, Wicked is in the conversation, and sadly, it seems a movie that I really love that not a lot of people have seen yet. Nickel Boys has started to fall off, and that's unfortunate. I really hope people get a chance to see that, but it's looking less likely that movie is going to get in there, especially. And I hate to say this, just the typical racism. It would seem like we've got two movies with black directors and black creatives and black stars, and one of them is going to get picked. And it's either, and this is just the way, this is the shitty way that Hollywood reflects America. We're going to pick one of those, and the one with the most momentum and the most money behind it, that's the one that's getting nominated. Nothing against Sing Sing. Great movie. I love Sing Sing. Coleman Domingo deserves the world. Nickel Boys is a better movie, but only one of them is getting nominated.
Yeah.
And that sucks. That just fucking sucks.
You talking about Nickel Boys is literally the second time I've heard it today, and the second time I've ever heard about it at all.
Wow.
So
it's won 17 Critics Awards. It won Best Picture from the National Society of Film Critics, the Toronto Film Critics Discussing Film Global Critics Award winner. It's an incredible movie that everybody needs to see. But yeah.
Now, keep in mind, this is the holiday season, and I have been incredibly busy with life and work, and
they haven't put it in theaters yet, which is again probably a money thing. This is not a company that has a great deal of money behind it, so
that could be about me more than them not talking about it, but this is going to be an incredibly hard award season for me to see everything and be invested in everything.
Oh yeah.
So
because you got to go see Den of Thieves 2, right? I mean, that's the
nope, absolutely fucking not. When you put that in the show, I was like, I have not seen Den of Thieves 1, and I am not going to see Den of Thieves 1 to watch another movie that I don't want to pay to go see. So yeah.
That's
So
what
you can talk about it. You have to see it. You
Better
did a
Man
great
is coming
job.
out this
So
weekend too. So there's that. Yeah, and the Last Showgirl and Flow, which are both again movies that deserve a lot more attention. Somebody who deserves to be in the Academy Award conversation that isn't and will not be, unfortunately, because of who she is Pamela Anderson. She's
mhm.
that good in The Last Showgirl, and yeah, that's coming out next week. We'll talk about that next. So let's get into this week's new movies after I've ranted enough about how you should be paying attention to critics as opposed to whatever the HFPA is. Um, new in theaters this weekend is a horror film. We're starting off with horror because horror is the hottest genre, continues to be, and I think this year is off to a pretty terrific start with The Damned, a psychological horror film directed by Thordur Palsson, set in a 19th century Icelandic village. It follows Ava, played by Odessa Young. She's a widow who's overseeing this remote fishing station. Her husband has passed away in the previous season. They didn't think she would actually be coming back to run the station, but she does. The plot kicks in when a ship crashes on the rocks not far from this fishing station, but far enough that trying to rescue them would only endanger her crew. So she decides not to try and save them, not to try and rescue them. But they do find later that their materials, their supplies are coming up on the shore, and they kind of want those. So they try to get those. They end up in a confrontation with what's left of the crew of that other ship, and that'll lead to other plot developments going along. I really liked this movie. I was impressed by the lighting. I was impressed by the performances, the pacing. It's a really terrific psychological horror thriller. There's especially this woman, just a supporting character, Siobhan Finneran, who plays a character named Helga, gets a moment in this movie where she's telling a story just against candlelight in the fireplace, and she just tells us that's of course a little bit of a info dump, but it's also done in a way that's very artful and incredibly well delivered. I really like that moment, and that's I think it goes back to something that Roger Ebert said, like 3 good scenes, and this movie's got 3 good scenes in it. Can really make a movie, and this one that made it for me. I really enjoyed this. I also had incredibly low expectations for it, but it met and exceeded those expectations for me, Jeff.
Agreed. This is one of those movies where, because we're just getting past the holidays and everything, I was like, all right, I don't have the bandwidth to look ahead and see what we're going to go with, but you tell me to see this movie, I'm going to go see this movie. And this is one of the most gorgeous looking movies that I've seen in, I don't know, years. Um, the fact that it's Iceland and that's all you see are this little opening between these mountains and this valley that I it's at times it's so bleak and white that I just thought the mountains were scaffolding. And I'm like, where did that? Oh, that's the mountain, because it's a white snow covered mountain in front of the white sky. And, you know, it, it was just gorgeous. And everything about it was, beautifully shot. The interiors where they're just lit by lamplight. Um, we talked about Nosferatu and how there are so many things that you could pull out of that movie and use them as like a Renaissance painting.
Absolutely.
And there are some shots in here that absolutely could be hung on the wall, just as art. The cast is nobody that I've ever heard, like seen in anything. I but they all just seem like you just plucked them off the street and out of a fishing village in Iceland.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
And
Odessa Young is kind of bubbling under. She was in a horror film called Giant, I think in 2019, 2020. It was
mhm.
that was intriguing at the very least, if not a great movie. It was intriguing, kind of a teen horror movie, but heightened. And she's a terrific choice to lead this movie.
He's got a Sarah Polly thing going on.
Hmm.
And I kept picturing Sarah Polly she favors her looks wise, and she's got that realistic but very smart performance that Sarah Polly always does. And that's one of the things that kind of struck me about it as I was watching it. Um, it was beautiful. It was, and it almost was like if Robert Eggers just wanted to do a quickie between his big epics.
Mm.
It reminded me of something he might tackle.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of depth to this, but there's certainly on a technical scale and on a, just for a quick, horror fix. This is really it's solid. It's so solid. It's like a programmer, it is like something that you could put together very quickly. And if you've got a lot of skill, make it look really good. It definitely hits the basics of horror, but it elevates them just enough to be more than just another horror movie. And like you said, it's a terrific looking movie. There's nothing I don't like about it. I like the way they weave in her husband's story and how that is affecting her psychologically and how that's playing into how everyone is perceiving what may or may not be happening. The movie is one of those that plays very, very well with the idea of what's real and what's not, and using its location to keep its characters off balance and a little bit confused. And that really worked well. It's just a really clever movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
No one went to see it. Other than you and I. How was the crowd at your showing?
I had like 6 or 7 other people in my showing this morning at 10:15.
Well, that's not bad.
So,
I wish there were more though. More people need to see this. This is just a terrific movie, and for it to be the first movie of the year, it's so rare that we get a good movie to start the year with. We usually get trash about this time of year. We usually get Den of Thieves Pantera this time of year. I've not seen.
Well, to be fair, we did get Megan 2 years ago, and that was fun
for you.
For me,
it was fun for you.
I was pleased to see that I had a theater full of adults watching a movie for a change.
Check out The Damned. I know everybody gets a bad impression of something that doesn't open well, and this certainly did not open well at all, but it deserves attention. Something that doesn't deserve attention is Bryan Johnson. And he's the subject of our next movie, which is a documentary on Netflix called Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever, directed by Chris Smith. The film is exploring a tech entrepreneur, Bryan Johnson's ambition to not die. He's trying to end both aging and death via technology and science using his multi-million-dollar fortune. It's a weird thing. I don't know, Jeff. I can't. Stuff like this always makes me a little bit philosophical. And do you think that the sort of the notion of death makes life a little bit more important while you're living it, or are you just so afraid to die that you never want that to happen? You don't even want to think about it.
Most people don't want to think about death. I think about it constantly because I'm like an unsupervised toddler and will probably die before I'm 60. But I did not watch this because I looked up the synopsis and I was like, you know what? I'm so fucking sick of these tech bro billionaire types who think that because they somehow struck it rich, that they don't have to, there's something special about them. And that, if I live forever, well, that's just because I made it. It's like Joel Osteen, the prosperity gospel kind of people. They all think that because they're rich, they deserve more. And
God has deigned that I'm rich because God decided that I'm supposed to be rich, which is one of the stupider things anyone could say. That is a very there's a camel and a needle that you need to think about for a moment. That I'm
an atheist and I know more about the Bible than some of these fuckers. So
truly,
it's just it's guys like this that somehow they're super special because they made it big.
So
No,
do you know anything about Bryan Thompson before I brought up this documentary?
no, I did not.
So most people know about Bryan Thompson from his. He had a brief moment, kind of in the media spotlight last year when he started going viral for this plan to try and make himself younger. And one of the things I think the main thing most people know about him is that he started taking transfusions of blood from his son.
Yeah.
His son,
Now, yeah.
and he's giving transfusion to his own father to try and help him try to stay alive. And the thing about it is like there are things that Bryan Johnson is doing that could be valuable in terms of just trying to keep people healthier longer and, maybe make your life better longer, which I can do, which I can appreciate. But at the same time, this movie is such a commercial for him and what he's doing that it comes off as false. Even the things that he does that are good come off as false. Like, at first they're laying out, the scientific stuff that he has helped put forward by making himself this unbelievable guinea pig. But he's also doing something that neither of us could ever possibly afford, like the kinds of treatments that he's doing. Only somebody with his kind of money could do. So it's not, but then he started a supplement company and now he's got a YouTube channel and that's making money and he's selling supplements, and none of which, by the way, is regulated by the FDA. So he doesn't have anyone looking into what he's selling. So he can just sell you snake oil if that's what he wants to do, because no one's looking at it.
And regulations are going to completely go away too. So
seemingly, yeah.
You and we should start an I Hate Critics supplement company. Just start sending people pills made out of sawdust or something.
I mean, why not? Just sell them sugar pills right now. We're just going to start our own line of sugar pills. Take this pill and you'll love every movie. No matter what you want.
It must be something inside of you that's making it not work for you. What are you talking about?
You say it doesn't work, really? No, that's got to be something wrong with you then. Keep trying. Maybe take it longer. It's
a failure of character.
Literally, that's his pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That is legitimately his pitch. If it doesn't work for you, you're not doing it enough.
Well, that's a thing about like I'm talking about these like Joel Osteens of the world and Donald Trumps. If it's not working for you, that's because you have a character flaw. If you're not rich, it's because you have a character flaw. It is incredibly hard to become even a millionaire at this point if you're not born into it. It is even more impossible to become a billionaire unless you are completely unethical. Yeah, I mean, even Taylor Swift, I'm sorry, there's no ethical billionaires. She's great. She gives a lot of money back, but there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. And it's people like him that you do not have an infinite time on this earth, no matter how you're trying to live forever. Think about like a vampire movie. Okay. We just talked about Nosferatu. Think about being a vampire and you are immortal and you have to watch everyone you've ever loved die and you don't age or die. And that goes on for millennia. Okay. Why would you want to do that? And if you can make, what if somebody you love isn't buying into this whole, I want to live forever bullshit, and you watch them age, you never age or die, but they're dead. Unless they decide to get into it. And at some point you're just a rat chasing its own tail.
Uh-huh.
And you're wasting your life trying to live forever when you could be out living it with your son or your wife or your father,
That's their time. That's a part of the story too, is that his son is heading off to college and they're going to be apart for the first time in a while. They've only reconnected maybe like a year before this story started, and they really, really reconnected, not just for the fact that he's taking his son's blood, but his son really buys into what his dad is doing. But there's also a lot of family drama there where Bryan Johnson left the Mormon church and now his son is leaving the Mormon church. And That's kind of bonded them together against the rest of their family. So there's that aspect. He also this documentary. Many of the problems that I have with this is just mostly because it's a commercial for what Bryan Johnson is doing, but also they platform this like banana republic island where there's no fucking laws, and these guys are promising this treatment that they have that can extend your life or give you a better life, give you more muscle, give you whatever. And it's like that's not regulated, but at the same time Bryan Johnson's taking it himself. So do you doubt that it works? He's trying it on himself.
Yeah, I doubt that it works. Spoiler alert.
There's an amazing scene, an absolutely brilliant scene in Man on the Moon, where Andy Kaufman at the end of his life went to one of these clinics, unregulated clinics in South America, trying to save his own life from cancer. And you just watching Andy have this he very obvious like fake treatment, and you can just see the light going out in his eyes because he knows he's going to die, and now this person's just trying to fool him in the last moments of his life into thinking that he's going to live. And it's so sad and so poignant and so incredibly well played by Jim Carrey. And I can only imagine that Bryan Johnson has one of these moments in his life coming up at some point.
I mean, what if he finds the secret and then he gets run over by a bus? I mean, I'm sorry, but I figured it out. I'm going to live forever. And he runs out into the street and he's like, yay, look at me. I'm going to live forever.
It reminds me another thing of, was it Dennis Leary? It was either Dennis Leary probably stole it from Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks probably said it, but Jim Fixx is this legendary runner and workout guy. And he was talking about he would go on talk shows all the time in the 70s and talk about how healthy he was and he's gonna live forever and he's a vegan, all this stuff, and then one day just dies of a heart attack just while running. And I'm sorry to people who it's dark, but it's irony in it just kind of so simple. Meanwhile, Leary and Hicks were talking about how much they smoke and drink and live their life and having fun. This guy at the gym 6 hours a day, not spending any time with their family.
I knew this guy back in high school. We lost touch, but we I still know people who were friends with him. A couple of years older than me. Everything was about health, and he didn't drink. He ate right. He worked out every single day. And at age 49, he had a heart attack and died. Meanwhile, I am 52, almost 53. I eat like an unsupervised toddler, as I've said. I do drink. I don't smoke, and I don't do drugs, but I don't work out. And I've outlived him by 3 years. So, I mean, I don't envision myself living to 60. However, it could just hit anybody at any time, and it doesn't necessarily matter that you're trying to live forever.
Right.
I don't believe in God, but there's that like when you make plans, God laughs.
Yeah.
The universe laughs, whatever. I'm like, yeah, why try? No, I don't know. He seems very ridiculous.
I think just the fact, the finality of death makes life more meaningful. I'm not longing for death. I certainly don't want to die. I have that fear like a normal person has, but at the same time, the fact that I'm going to die at some point makes it more important to do things while I'm here that make me happy. That's why I don't have kids. I want to live. That's just for me. I don't have kids, and I like having the freedom that I have to watch movies and write all day. That's what I want to do. Yeah. It's what makes me happy. I do the thing that makes me happy the most.
Yeah. I don't have kids because my kids would be in jail at age 7 because I would just be like, I'm going to the bar or I'm going to the club. Y'all have fun.
Jeff's kids attended the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
They
Oh wait,
they
I was
learned
supposed to put
lessons
them in school.
they learned lessons in life is what they did.
And death, probably.
You know, my son, he fucked around and he found out. That's my
See, when I was growing up, I always heard that if you're gay, you can't get married and you can't have kids. And I was like, okay, cool. And now, like, I turned 40 and all of a sudden I'm expected to get married and have kids. And I'm like, what the fuck? I like made a whole life without him and now I have to have him. Are you kidding me? Luckily, I'm unfuckable, so I'm not gonna get married or have kids. So I think we've established that. I might be a little drunk.
I just anytime my friends talk about how wonderful it is to have kids, I'm like, that's great. I'm gonna go do whatever I want. enjoy your child. That's wonderful. Your kid's great. I'm gonna stop by and give them sugar and toys, and then I'm gonna go do whatever I want while you deal with that.
I make a terrific gunkle, in that I kind of just go in and yell at my nieces and call them horrible names, let them call me horrible names, and then I go home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I like it. It's fun. But to have a kid, I just can't even.
I don't even want to think about it.
Because then you kind of do live forever, and who wants that?
No, sir, I can't see. I can't even handle the life I have right now.
Oh.
Got too many things. I got too many movies to watch. Too much writing to do. Too much of doing whatever I want whenever I want.
Right.
I don't have to go to soccer practice. I don't have
oh God. It's funny. My sister, when her kids were younger,
mm-hmm.
the first one she put in dance class, and that was an unmitigated disaster because I love my niece, but she is not a dancer nor coordinated. She did take up the cello and is a beautiful cello player. She plays on her college's orchestra. She got scholarships and everything. And my other niece, she just said, you know what, I want to go out for volleyball. And she wants to do this stuff because her friends are doing it, or, people that she admires. And my sister's like, that's cool. And my niece is like, you don't have to come to my games because I don't really want to be there. I just want to hang out with people. So it's like, okay, they have this stuff that they do, but they're not necessarily super invested in it. And then I've got yeah, I have one friend who has 3 kids, and literally her entire life is work and activities.
Mm-hmm.
And she has they eat out all the time because they literally have no time to cook except on the weekends. And by then they're just, they're so tired that they're like, I don't cook anymore because there's too many activities. And all 3 kids are in high school right now. I was like, I don't understand it. I do not get it.
Yeah. Another thing is that I've got a lot of friends who they went out and they did have kids and then they're just gone. Like, what? What do I see? Never. I can't leave my house now because there's a child there.
Yeah. And the people that invest, this is a gross thing. And we're supposed to be talking about movies, but this is just a gross thing that I've noticed. Boy moms.
Yeah.
The trend in, I love you so much. I love you so much. I know I'm supposed to be your mom, but I love you so much. And I'm like paging Dr. Bates, Dr. Norman Bates. That's another thing that I see way too much of lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little incestuous. So stop doing that.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's weird. Just be mom. Just be mom. You don't have to be their wife too. They're not gonna have a wife if you keep trying to be. Just FYI. But no, this movie Don't Die. is not. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time. It's
Don't watch.
it's just a commercial for what Bryan Johnson is doing. It doesn't have any honest. It's one of those movies that's kind of cowardly and says, "Hey, I just want you to make up your own mind about what you see, man. Make up your own mind about it. Why did you make it? What did you want to tell people? You just want to tell people how great this guy is."
Shouldn't he be doing a podcast instead?
Something, yeah. Just go on his YouTube channel for fuck's sake. Don't make a documentary. All right, but now we do have a good documentary this week. Ladylike is a documentary directed by Luke Willis that delves into the life of Rex Wheeler, who is better known as Lady Camden, who finished as the runner-up of season 14 of RuPaul's Drag Race. He's from England, but he spent most of his time in San Francisco, which that's his where he's developed his, or she has developed her community. And what a great documentary. This inspired me to think more and more about the way in which we try and prevent people from being happy in this country, because it's like, especially straight white men like myself seem to think that any expression of joy is like taken from us in some way. Like we need to stop this expression of joy from people who are figuring out who they are and enjoying their life. Like, the one true problem that Lady Camden repeatedly runs into growing up is bullying. She is bullied from an early part of her life and continues to just kind of worry that some bully asshole is going to step in at some point and fuck with her life. And it's like, what might she have achieved had she just been allowed to just grow up and be happy? Because that's all it is. When your child picks up a doll, like your boy child picks up a doll and starts playing with it and doing things with it, or is wearing, garish clothes and dancing and singing and they're just trying to be happy. That's just happiness. That's just joy. You stepping in to take that from them is not helping them. You're harming your child when you do that. When you take away their joy, you're harming them. And one of the wonderful things about this documentary is this conversation that Lady Camden is having with her younger self. The child Rex is a character of sort that pops up from here and there. That there's this sort of unspoken conversation happening about kind of trauma bonding and healing, and it's just wonderful. And then, of course, just watching them develop and going behind the scenes of their costumes and their personality. I love this, and it's just a pure expression of joy from beginning to end.
Having seen RuPaul's Drag Race up until the current season, I was aware of Lady Camden for for forever, at least the last few years since she was on RuPaul's Drag Race. And I personally she was always one of my favorites in her season. To see, get a little more in depth with some of the stuff that she's gone through in her life. She was actually in our area last month for a show that I just could not go to because I had to work. And now that I've seen this, it really, kind of upsets me that I didn't get to go meet her, because she's so genuine and is nice. Like, after all the stuff that, she has been through with her brother and with bullying and et cetera, it's nice to see that she has remained nice, for lack of a better term.
It's like it's a strange sort of dichotomy, a humble drag queen.
Well, I mean, okay, so you get like the first winner of RuPaul's Drag Race is a cunt. I mean, is one of the worst people, and they just do it for attention because they're just horrible. Mm-hmm. I'm not even going to name her. We recently found out that the Vivienne, who was the first winner of Drag Race UK, died the other day,
Oh.
and this particular winner went on and said something really nasty that I'm not even going to repeat on social media. Um, it really was just disgusting, and we need people that are more like Lady Camden than we do this other person. Um, and yes, I think drag is sometimes a big uh um how do I kind of a reach for attention,
Hmm.
because that, not in a bad way, but we we get these queens who are just literally the worst people in the world, and because they're on TV they get venerated.
Hmm.
But then, we get people like Lady Camden, who is just sweet and nice and has let all of this kind of go off her back. Um, and not taking it, took the loss hard, but not didn't let it defeat her.
Hmm.
Um, and I really think that that's something that a lot of the uh, a lot of the queens who are there just for, just because they want to be famous need to, kind of take that to heart a little more.
Mm.
So
You're gonna find that in any close knit community where there are genuine people like Lady Camden, and then there are shitty people, and it's just the way.
yeah.
Yeah, that's typical of any enclave, if you will. But one thing that this movie kind of underlined to me is how much of an art form this truly is. Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people really write off drag as just being, I don't know, like a clown show, like it's a circus or something. And it's like, no, no, no. These are genuine artists who are putting in an incredible amount of work. And their canvas just happens to be themselves and their personality. And I especially just loved those insights into, creation and personality, and how the way of Lady Camden trying to figure out a way to express herself without changing
Mm-hmm.
herself. That was beautiful.
Yeah, and I don't think that I wish more people were aware of drag queens like Lady Camden. Um, because I'm going to be honest with you, like it has been really sad to see the way that people vilify drag queens as, like, oh, they're coming to corrupt your children and blah, blah. And I'm like, look, name one drag queen who did something inappropriate with a child. You know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can name 3,300 clergymen who did,
Every week,
but
it seems another clergyman gets arrested, and we've not seen a single drag queen be arrested for this crime. I don't know, what, John Wayne Gacy?
yeah. So I'm just like, spare me.
Excuse me, the BTK killer. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gacy was a clown, wasn't he?
He was a clown, but he was also like a local politician,
Yeah.
because they're great too.
Yeah, no, BTK liked to dress up as a woman.
Yeah.
There's some disturbing photos out there.
I'm not going to look at those.
I watch a lot. I watch too much true crime. Way too much. Gotta stop doing that. You know what I've been obsessed with lately, though, is like the last known photo of someone. That just is like,
Oh, yeah.
I can't get enough of it. I look at these pictures going, I wonder if there's a clue here somewhere.
I have been through those before. Um, yeah.
Speaking of last known photos, there's probably one of the characters in the movie that is our classic this week, Inside, a 2007 French horror film that is directed by Alexandre Bustillo and Julian Maury, about a pregnant woman named Sarah who is terrorized in her home on Christmas Eve by a mysterious and violent intruder. It's known for suspense. It's also known for graphic violence. And my God, I really hated this movie, Jeff.
Of course you did.
Well, no, come on. I have a reputation. I don't hate extreme horror. I stand by the fact that Martyrs is a genuine all-time classic. Genuinely speaking, Martyrs elevates the horror genre. Like, I can do extreme horror. And I think there is skill to this movie, but I also think there is just such a depraved dedication to presenting the worst possible story that just kind of takes away from the skill that is demonstrated in this movie.
Well, for me, this is a Christmas movie, and I watch it every Christmas.
Why is Jeff so sad on Christmas? I don't know. It's weird.
Oh no, this is
He
like
seems
something
to
that
associate it with
uplifts me.
death.
Oh, well, I mean, it is the major holiday of a death cult. Um, no, this is a movie that I saw probably a year after it came out. I'd heard about it from some of my friends who were into more extreme horror than I was watching at the time. And um, so everybody talks about a Serbian film being like the worst movie they've ever seen. And to me, that movie is bad, but it's bad it's just trying to shock you. This movie is trying to shock you, but the performances are what do it for me. Beatrice Dalle, especially, her face is so like ugly hot. That's how I describe a lot of guys, but she's like repulsively beautiful. And I don't know, she's got this huge gap in her teeth and she's got these full lips, but these cruel eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so matter of fact on what she's trying to do in this movie, that it's unnerving. And yeah, it's very disgusting. How I also love though how they get so many people to come into this woman's house who was going to spend the night alone, and suddenly she's got like 14 people in her house to get murdered.
Mm-hmm.
The creativeness of getting all those people into the house and killing them off in disgusting ways is to be commended, in my opinion.
I find that, like I said, I think this is a very skillful movie in terms of direction. I think these are very talented directors. There's a terrific scare before all the blood and guts begin, when where you can see like a shadow standing over over the pregnant woman's shoulder, Sarah, Allison Paradis, and then that shadow sort of recedes into the background, and you can barely see the outline of a person. You can see her face, and then she's just in the shadows, and she's gone. Really terrific, really creepy. But I don't think once we get into the extreme horror portions, I just don't think it holds up. Once a character gets stabbed in the neck, I was just like, okay, there's just no coming back from this now, and this is just going to be a celebration of various ways we can jam things through people. And that to me just it became far less interesting at that point, because at a certain point, like if you're going to go for an ending that is just the most bleak, despairing ending possible, give me something to root for before we get there. Let me down at the very, very end. This movie lets you down so quickly that it's like, well, okay, and then nothing really matters then, does it? Okay, cool. This is just degradation.
Oh. Skillful degradation. Fair enough.
So yeah, but I maintain this is not something that I automatically went into with a bad attitude, because I can do extreme horror. I think a movie like Raw is a great example. Or gosh, what is that one? There's it's escaping me. A woman has sex with a car and gives birth to it. Great fucking movie. and just horribly disturbing, but a tremendously, incredibly well directed film that leaves you just kind of deeply disturbed, and it's got plenty of gore and body horror and violence. The Substance has got gore and body horror and violence. This is not nearly as interesting or as deep as any of those movies. I mean, I can get this story minus the gore from a true crime YouTube channel. Like this has actually happened in real life, where someone tried to steal a woman's child from her while it was still in the womb. Like that's a real thing that's happened.
Yeah, several times.
And so I to and also just for them to apply so much skill and deliver so little, that really just left me cold in this movie.
Fair enough. Not for everybody.
Not for everybody, but you recommend it.
I liked it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong for recommending. You're not wrong for liking it. I'm not wrong. I'm not right for not liking it. Neither one of us is right or wrong in this. You have to make up your own mind how you're going to feel about it for yourself. I didn't care for it. Jeff recommends it. If you take his word for it and give it a chance and tell us what you think, that's what really matters. Yeah. I wish everyone would see every movie so I could talk to them about it.
And make sure you're watching the 2007 version, not the 2016 American version.
Right.
Both are on Tubi.
So. And there are two versions of this. And this is where the confusion came in for me, because apparently there's a version that if you search on Roku for this movie specifically, it'll take you to a purchase link for either Apple or Amazon. And then you have to scroll down and you'll find it again on Tubi. So that's what happened to me. But I did find it on Tubi the second time I watched it. So I did watch this movie twice because I'm dedicated to this damn show.
Yes, you are. I've watched it several times, so I only watched it once this time.
You know what, folks? Watch The Damned and watch Ladylike. We both recommend both of those movies for sure. You can skip whatever Bryan Johnson's doing, and give the inside the chance if you believe what Jeff is telling you about it.
If you like extreme horror, now you'll probably get a kick out of this. I found this movie on eBay. Probably, I think I just moved to New York, so it's like 2009. And I found it on eBay and I ordered it, and it was the Blockbuster version of it. When they found it was billed as, unrated, all that. They sent me the Blockbuster version of it, which is what I watched for 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not as explicitly horrifying. And it's still, it's like, oh, okay, cool. But then I watched the unrated version of it that was not edited for Blockbuster, and yikes. That so if you want, you can watch the rated or unrated and decide.
Which one did I watch? That's why I had to have watched the unrated. I had to.
Yeah, the unrated one is, I think, the only one that's like really available for streaming.
Which is weird though, because your Tubi is ad supported. You wouldn't figure they'd have the unrated, but
oh yeah, they have. Tubi has some pretty nasties. So
fascinating. Like I said, next week we've got Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. We've got Better Man, the Robbie Williams movie, which is I've seen and I absolutely love. I hope people will get a chance to go out and see that one. There's also, we'll talk about whatever Jeff gets to, but there is the opportunity to see the last Showgirl and Flow, which is two more really terrific movies. There's also plenty of new streaming stuff coming out on January 10th, and I'll just mention a few that I've not seen yet, but that are available. There's a documentary on Max called Sons of Ecstasy that is coming out. Also a Diane Warren documentary called Relentless. There is a movie starring Donnie Yen, who is a very popular international star of action movies, called The Prosecutor. Extremely Unique Dynamic is a movie starring Ivan Lung. Is a comedy from Strand Releasing. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of movies coming out that are just going straight to streaming. I also, not too far off in the future, we're getting another one of those Disney takeoff horror movies, rip off horror movies. So they're taking Peter Pan into the horror
Oh,
coming up soon.
well, you know that Popeye is now in the public domain, and they are
Really?
in post production
Oh, for
on Popeye the Slayer Man.
for fuck's sake.
I did not know that it was an actual thing until one of my friends on Blue Sky posted that it was in the public domain. I'm like, mark my words, Popeye horror movie incoming. And then somebody was like, yeah, it's already in post production. I was like, holy fuck, of course it is.
Yeah, we're getting a Mickey Mouse horror film very soon as well because of that. And I guess Peter Pan now as well. And we'll get another Winnie the Pooh soon, I'm sure, because people are sick, twisted individuals.
Well, they're just using it to, make money because they can now. Because
on the bright side, the people who are making these, at least they're not on YouTube making more Elsa Gate videos, which is I'm sure where they came from.
Making more what?
You've never heard of Elsa Gate?
Oh God, no.
Oh man. So I won't go too far into this. Search Elsa Gate, you can find out everything. But there was this time when YouTube was failing to vet things that were going on to YouTube Kids. So a group of creators were making just horrific content that would star Elsa and Spider-Man and needles and Peppa Pig being set on fire and people having sex with Peppa Pig and just all these just horrific things, just these AI nightmares before AI. And I'm sure these are the same people who are now making Popeye the Slayer Man. I'm just betting.
I did see
you got to evolve your iPhone,
You know those packages of diced ham, right?
Yeah.
Somebody posted that on I probably on Instagram or whatever and said Peppa Pig jigsaw puzzle. I lost my shit.
That's fine. A 6-year-old can't see that. That's okay.
Oh, I know.
But don't put that on YouTube Kids, please. That's just, just don't do that. Like, you want to make that joke with a group of adults, fine, but let kids have their toys. All right. Really looking.
I'm definitely gonna
go ahead.
Definitely gonna see The Last Showgirl. I've been looking forward to that one for a long time.
And if you can get to Better Man, I gotta recommend that a lot. Well, we'll go more into that next week. All right, Jeff. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.